In the previous video, I gave an overview of life in Brazil's largest city, the cost of living, and hung out with an American expat that is now calling Sao Paulo home. Known for its beaches, vibrant nightlife powered by funky, a Brazilian dance music that reminds me of old school hip hop fused with reggaeton, and where the culture is unique enough that the people from this region are referred to as cariocas. This week, we're touring Brazil's most famous city, the city of God, Rio de Janeiro. In today's video, I'll show you around the greater Copacabana region and what this part of town offers visitors and expats. I'll be giving you an overview on the cost of living, neighborhoods, safety, and day-to-day life. So get ready to talk food, people, and most importantly, how I feel about calling this city home. If this is your first time here on ENTP Life, I mostly talk about real estate, business, and my current interest. Right now, I'm interested in buying international properties so that one day I can travel the world living a truly global lifestyle. So if you have dreams of picking up and seeing the world, please like and subscribe so that you can get the blueprint to generating passive income and making that dream of yours a reality. Welcome to ENTP Life and bem-vindo a Rio de Janeiro. Flying in from Sao Paulo is a short 1-hour flight. When flying domestic, you arrive at Santos Dumont SDU Airport. You catch awesome views of the city right before landing. Looking out the window reminded me that I need to hurry up and get my sailing certificate, which I started last year but never finished. Like most airports in the world, today, it's pretty empty. The ride from SDU to the tourist zone takes about 30 minutes and gives you a chance to see the reality of life in Rio. Rio is a city where you go from shantytown to luxury in minutes. The unfortunate reality of post-colonial capitalism. I arrived at my Airbnb, which is an oceanfront mid-rise condo. Here's an overview of my 2-bedroom apartment that cost me $50 a night. From the living room balcony, your typical views of Rio's coastline. So this is my first time staying in this neighborhood. Usually I'll stay in Leblon, Ipanema, or even Copacabana, where most of the tourists are. However, this time I wanted a sense of real life and chose to stay in Barra Da Tijuca, an upper middle class to wealthy neighborhood just outside of that tourist zone. Honestly, the state of Rio reminds me of southern Florida. Let's hit the beach and take a closer look. With miles of palm tree lined coast, the landscape is more interesting as you're surrounded by mountains that seem to jet straight out of the ocean. On a cloudy day, the beach still has some life. Kite surfers and friends gathering around to enjoy nature's amenities. There was an impromptu samba jam at this beachside restaurant that seemed to be scattered all around the Copacabana region. Here you could grab a burger, fries, cocktails, and ice-cold coconut water for less than $10. After my nap, I decided to go to the restaurant in the mall. It had good ratings, so I figured I'll check it out. The mall is modern and features all the household luxury brands. It reminded me of Vegas malls in a way. Since we're on the coast, it made sense for me to go out for seafood. From ocean to table to my belly, the circle of life. I think it's important for me to first talk about the neighborhoods because it's a little confusing since it all feels the same from one neighborhood to the next. Looking at a map, this area is where you want to be. It's the most developed area with the best infrastructure and amenities. This area here, Rosina and Vidigal, are the favelas. I have to be honest, the favelas have a bad rap, but they have some of the best views of the entire region. The cost of living is incredibly cheap, but these areas suffer from the same issues as all impoverished areas. The favelas suffer from petty crime, unstable utilities, subpar schooling, horrible roads, and drug problems. So as far as relocating is concerned, I would recommend that you live in the areas that I'm highlighting. I'm going to review each one in the order of my least favorite to the top choice for living in Rio as an expat. Number 4 is Copacabana. This area is what most people associate with Rio. It's the most visited section of the coastal city, and it's also the oldest. Expect the architecture to be a bit dated and the oceanfront to be lined with hotels and sidewalk restaurants. It's a fun place to be and host guests. However, Copa isn't my top choice because it feels a little too busy and it's really outdated. Number 3 is the legendary Ipanema. Ipanema is the town immediately south of Copacabana, slightly more upscale and less populated. The properties here appear to be a little newer in this part of town. It's also a bit more reserved. When you mention Ipanema, everyone references that Bossa Nova hit The Girl from Ipanema. Once upon a time, Justin Bieber came to discover this girl himself. But let's not talk about that. You could just Google it. Number 2 is Barra Da Tijuca. This is the southernmost part of the town. Honestly, it's outside the Copacabana region and close enough to access the energy if you crave it. This is where I stayed on this trip. Prices for real estate are actually a bit cheaper here as it's further away from the nightlife and the high energy of the beachfront of Copacabana. As a bonus, there's also an alternative community that's in a series of mangrove islands just north of Barra da Tijuca. I had the chance to take a sunset tour of this area and it's totally captured me. It tends to have that effect on those who are a little openly strange. So I'll be covering more on the islands in Barra da Tijuca in the next video, so definitely look out for that. Number 1 on my list of places to live in the principal city of Rio is Leblon. It's an upscale neighborhood tucked near the lagoon and the ocean. It has some of the most expensive real estate in the city, and because of that, an array of restaurants, shops, and improved security. If I were to live in Rio de Janeiro, I would certainly start here and be house hunting in this part of town. Leblon is also closer to the city center when comparing it to Barra da Tijuca. So if you want that hustle and bustle, it's right there. Now let's talk about housing cost. If looking at listings in this area, the range for an apartment within walking distance to the beach on the low end for a studio apartment ranges from about $400 if you're renting and $80,000 if you're buying. If you want a larger apartment, say a 3-bedroom beachfront, your rental prices start at around $2,000 a month, and the sales prices go way over $1 million. On the islands of Barra da Tijuca, you could rent a bare bones kitnet or studio apartment for $200 a month and a 3-bedroom house for as low as $700 a month. Talk about a bargain. Based on what you've seen so far, what places or place would you lean towards and why? Let me know in the comment section below. Now that I've piqued your interest, next is a look into the lifestyle you could expect to live while you're living in Rio. We check out food options, places to visit, and examine the cost of living in this sizzling city. In our next video, we're going deeper. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to like and share it with someone who you know will appreciate what Rio has to offer. Ate logo. Ciao.